From the Ear to There Travel Studio, this is the Ear to There Disney Podcast.
The Ear to There Podcast, it's time to start the show. Be sure to hold on tight, here we go. Exploring all the different Disney destinations. Ear to There, it's time to start the fun.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ear to There Disney Podcast. I'm your host, Phil Gramlich. I am also the owner and the founder of Ear to There Travel, which is a Disney-specialized travel agency. It's my job, along with all of the vacationers on the Ear to There Travel team, to take away all of that stress, all that anxiety, and all of that time that it takes to plan a Disney trip so you can focus on the really fun, really important things like having a phenomenal time with your family and friends and enjoying the magic. And all of our services, just like the cups of ice water available all over Walt Disney World, are always totally free of charge. Check that out. That is your first tip of the show, and it's in the intro. How does he do it? Anyway, I'm cheering for myself. You can find this podcast, find out all about me or the other Ear to There travel agents, or get your free, no obligation quote at eartotheretravel.com. All right, this is episode number 173 for the week of June 24th, 2019. Now grab a drink, maybe it's free ice water, grab a snack, maybe you can split it, and as a famous mouse once said, on with the show. A trip to Walt Disney World can be expensive. Actually, a trip to Walt Disney World can be really expensive. With the prices for annual passes and other things going up just last week, it's time for the most steadfast defenders of the Disney company to, even admit that, listen, this isn't your father's Walt Disney World. And if you have a big family or a lot of people who are going, it's going to take a little bit of strategy to get you there. That's why this week, this episode is all about ways to save money for and during your Walt Disney World trip. Now, here's the thing. I want you to book your trip through me. I want you to book your trip through one of the vacationers at Ear to There Travel. And there are a couple reasons why I want you to do that. One, of course, let's be for real. I run a business. And if you book through Ear to There Travel or through me, I get a commission based on what you buy. That's laying all the cards out on the table, being 100% transparent with you, the listener. Of course, I want your business. But it's more than that. I also want you to have the same awesome experience that my family would have on your Walt Disney World trip. And of course, a big part of that is experiencing this vacation, this trip, for the least amount of money possible. Well, let me rephrase that. Not the least amount of money possible, but spending only the money that makes sense to myself or to you when you're taking a trip. So this episode is all about those money-saving tips. And listen, this episode may very well have you decide or make you decide, well, he just gave me the whole game plan. He just gave me the whole layout. He just explained totally how to book this trip for as little money possible without using his company. He must be a dope. Why would he do that? Well, I feel like I have an obligation, not just to the clients, but to you. If you're listening to this show, whenever you're listening to it, if you're thinking about taking a trip with your significant other, with your family, with your kids, with just you, I have an obligation to help you get the most out of your trip for the least amount of money. So while I will be giving away a lot of tips and a lot of ideas on this episode, you could find all this information on your own by just sitting on a computer one evening, looking everything up, writing them all down. But this way, you'll have it in your ear, you're ready to go, And who knows, maybe after you listen, you'll say, that was really helpful. But I still want them. I still want Phil. I still want someone from the Ear to There travel team to book my Disney trip. All right, so let's talk about how to save money. First, let's talk about before you go to Walt Disney World. And this is the planning stages. One thing I wanted to talk about is, and it's a pretty popular practice, is buying gift cards to pay for that trip. So there are a bunch of places like Target, like BJ's, Costco, Sam's Club, that either have a membership program or they have a credit card, their own credit card in Target's case, that you can sign up for and use. And if you use either your Costco membership or your Target credit card to buy Disney gift cards, you'll get a discount. Now listen, that discount's going to vary from place to place, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, you can't correct me because this isn't a two-way conversation right now. But I believe Target's is a 5% discount. And you're like, oh, 5%. Well, that's not that much. Well, just add that up. What if you paid for your whole trip in Disney gift cards? And believe you me, it happens. I've had lots of clients who just sent me pictures or numbers for 55 gift cards. And we're just like, good luck. But it's part of my job and it's not that big of a deal. I would recommend future clients, if you are listening to this, to go to the Disney gift card site. And as you accumulate those gift cards, kind of roll them all into one big gift card, have one number to give me, or even 5 or 7 or 8 or 10. It just makes it easier on the person who's ultimately using those gift cards to make the payment. But anyway, listen, use that strategy to pay for your whole darn trip. I don't know if you know, you can make payments on your reservation using Disney gift cards. So save up $200 if you're getting a package. Go buy $200 in Disney gift cards. Use those to make your deposit payment. And then once a week or twice a month, buy gift cards at your place, save them, and use those to make your payments. You can also bring those gift cards to Walt Disney World or Disneyland or the Disney Cruise Line to use as well. This is primarily about Walt Disney World, but they're good anywhere. So yeah, that's a great way. It's a great first tip to save money before you go and in the planning stages for your Walt Disney World vacation. All right, moving on to the next one. How about rent DVC points? Listen, I know you know me because this isn't the first episode you've listened to. And if it is, hey, you know what? Thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. You're tuning in on a great first episode because I think this one will be really helpful. But anyway, listen, I can't rent DVC points. My company does not rent them. Basically because I've made a point to never take payment for working on a reservation, for helping a client. And agents don't get paid. Agents like myself don't get paid for renting DVC points. And I don't want to charge a fee, so we don't do it. But you can save a fair amount of money by renting DVC points, either through a company that does it or even an individual, even your neighbor down the street might own a DVC. You might say, hey, Jerry, I see you have a DVC magnet on the back of your car. Can I rent a room from you? Can I rent points from you so I can go on vacation? If you do decide to rent, though, I would double check, right? So reach out to Disney, get their price in that same hotel for a week or 4 days or 5 days, however long you're going to stay, and then compare it to what the DVC rental place is charging. I bet you'll save money in the long run. And again, we don't do that here at Ear to There Travel. I don't do it, but listen, it might help you. So if it does help you, if that tip helps you, awesome. Go enjoy your trip. Don't book through me. I understand. All right. Next one up. Take advantage of the time of year if you can. Listen, I know a lot of people have kids. They're in school. The only times they can go are over breaks like Christmas break, Thanksgiving, spring break, the summer. I get it. And guess what? Those are going to be, in general, the most expensive times to visit Walt Disney World. Why? Well, because that's when they're going to sell out. That's when it's the highest demand for rooms, so they can charge more money. But if you can go in an off time, if you can go, say the end of September, say mid through the end of January, say most of February, in May, those are going to be early May, yeah. Away from Easter, stay away from Easter. Do not go over Easter weekend. It will be expensive. But if you can go at those off times, you're going to save yourself a little bit of money because the packages won't be as expensive. So just keep an eye on it. Another thing too that I want to mention here about the resorts is once you book your resort hotel room, whether you do that with an agent like myself or one of the vacationers on the team or another agency, or even if you book it directly through Disney, keep periodically checking back on that reservation. Because listen, sometimes you're going to book, like right now, last week, the 2020 packages were available, just became available to book up until, I believe, October of 2020. The thing is, there are no discounts yet. No discounts, no promotions for 2020. But eventually, some will come out. Some discounts, some promotions, free dining. Those will come out for 2020. And you want to keep an eye on your reservation once those promotions are released to see if any of those would apply to your already booked reservation, which would eventually, in theory, drop your overall price. And I say in theory because not all resorts are eligible. Not all reservations will be eligible for different packages, for different discounts. But do yourself a favor. Keep an eye on it. Ask any good travel agent would keep their eye on it. Anyone from, my team. No pressure. But no, any real agent worth their weight will keep an eye on that reservation for you to make sure you're getting the best and lowest possible price. All right, next one, book the trip as far out as possible so you have the most time to pay it off. Like I said, the room-only reservations actually book 499 days out, so you can book that like a year and a half out. The package reservations right now are booking about 15 to 16 months out. So listen, if you want a package for October 2020, if you want to go to Mickey's Not So Scary and enjoy Halloween in 2020, book now. Like I said earlier, it's $200 down for your deposit. I think I said that. If I didn't say it, for a package reservation, it's $200 down due at booking for your deposit. And then the balance isn't due until 30 days before your check-in day. So you'll have 15 months to pay it off. You pay a little bit here, you pay a little bit there. Contact your travel agent, set up. Now, Disney won't do this. Disney won't set up a payment plan. So if you book directly through Disney, you'll have to call every time you want to make a payment and let them know how much and give them a credit card, all that. But what some agents do, what my agents do is we'll set up a payment plan with a client so that a certain amount can be taken out each week or each month or whatever. So that really helps and it spreads it out. So you're not getting hit with, a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 bill all at once. It spread it out over the year and it makes it a lot more affordable. Well, that's not true. It doesn't make it more affordable, but it makes it less of a hit at once. It spreads that shot out across, several weeks, months, or even a year and a half, or a year and 3 or 4 months. For the room-only reservations, when you book it, only the first night's deposit is due. The first night's stay is your deposit. And then the balance isn't due until you check in. So again, you can pay as little or as much as you want in between, but you really don't have to. You can really spread it out. So there you go. That's another helpful tip, I hope. Next one, and this one's going to hurt me, okay? So if you know me and you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that I'm a big fan of staying on property. I almost never stay off property. I was just in Disneyland last month and I stayed off property because it was a last minute trip. By the way, that was to see Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. And if you didn't listen to the podcast, you should go back. It was actually pretty good. But anyway, I usually almost always 99% of the time say stay on property. But listen, you can save a fair amount of money by staying off property. And I know we all want the Disney bubble, right? We want to get there on Magical Express. I don't know why I'm whispering all of a sudden. We want to get into Walt Disney World and not leave until the Tragical Express comes to pick us up, right? But oftentimes, if you're saving money or if you want to go soon and not wait 3 or 4 years for that trip, it might make sense to look into the off-property hotels. So look into the Good Neighbor hotels. This is something Disneyland's done for years. Walt Disney World's only been doing the last couple of years. And what Walt Disney World has done is partner up with hotels that are within 2 to 14 miles of the Walt Disney World Resort. And those are now good neighbor hotels, most of which will be less expensive than the on-property Walt Disney World hotels. And you still get some of those perks. You still get the 60-day window for your FastPass booking. So if you're staying in a non-good neighbor hotel, you have to book your FastPasses at 30 days out. But if you're staying in a good neighbor Walt Disney World hotel, you can book your FastPasses at 60 days out. That is a big, big advantage. And you can save yourself some money to do it that way. Also, if you're at a good neighbor hotel, you get to take advantage of the extra magic hours, which is a really, really big thing. And also, you can book, and another plug, if there wasn't enough already, you can book those good neighbor hotels through a travel agent. It's still part, through a Disney specialized travel agent, it's still part of the package with Walt Disney World. You still, like I said, get those perks. Now, you don't get Magic Bands, and you don't get the Magical Express, but you get the other things, so it's pretty awesome. So yeah, look at the good neighbor hotels. Also, though, keep an eye on the transportation from your hotel to Walt Disney World. If you do decide to go off property, some resorts have it once an hour, some once every half hour, some every 2 hours. Just take a look at it. All right, the next money saving tip, think about, at least consider the value resorts. Listen, I get it. We all want to stay in a contemporary with the monorail whizzing over our heads. You definitely want to stay at the Polynesian someday with Ohana and Kona. And again, the monorail takes you to Magic Kingdom. We all want that, but maybe it's not worth it for you and your family. Are you the type of family that uses your hotel only to sleep, shower, and swim? If that's you, if it's only the 3 S's, then look into a value resort. Look at staying at Pop Century or Art of Animation or the All-Stars. That way you won't miss out on any of the magic of the parks, and you have somewhere to sleep at night that's not off property, really is what it comes down to. All the value resorts have great pools. They just don't have as many amenities as the moderate or obviously the deluxe resorts. But like I said, if you're sleeping, showering, and swimming at your hotel, who cares? You and your family will still have that awesome magical vacation and you'll pay less money. So that's good. All right, next up, as far as the hotels go, group your rooms properly. Now, what I mean by that is look at who is on or in your party. Who are you going with? I kind of think of this as like Tetris, right? Fit your party as best it goes together. That's not English, but you know what I mean. So the standard rooms fit 4 people, plus if you have an infant or a toddler that's going to sleep in a pack and play or a crib, you can actually get 5 people in a standard room. Now, that person can't have a ticket, so they can't be over 3. If they're over 3, then they can't sleep in a pack and play or a crib. But under 3, in a pack and play, in a crib, you can get 5 people in a standard room. Remember that. And that goes for, say you got a family suite at All-Star Music. You're a family of 7. Well, the All-Star Music suite only holds 6, but hold on. One of the people in the family of 7 is a baby who's going to sleep in a pack and play. Well, now all of a sudden you can stay in that All-Star Music suite. Same thing at the Art of Animation suite. So keep an eye on it and remember to group your rooms as best as possible. Again, I don't think that's English, but I think my point is made. Okay. Next one, as far as the flight goes, consider using airline points, of course, for flights, or, and this is a bigger one for me, or consider flying on one of the lower cost airlines. Airlines like, and I want to drop some names here for you, like Spirit and Frontier can save you a really good amount of money as long as you don't mind flying economy. Now, when I say economy, I'm saying economy, like tight squeeze, not a lot of leg room. The tray table's about as big as an iPhone, but, you'll save a lot of money. And if you're like me and you're flying just over 2 hours, it's not that big of a deal to have no legroom. Just walk around the airport when you get to MCO. That'll be better. But one thing about the airlines, about the lower cost airlines, make sure you limit your luggage if you're flying one, because they will charge you for every bag. And that can add up really fast if you're a family where each individual has a carry-on and a checked bag. That luggage fee will be astronomical, so keep that in mind. And think about Southwest as well. Southwest will most likely have higher prices than both Frontier and Spirit. But, and this is a big but, there are no baggage fees. So that's helpful. All right, next one up, getting from your airport or from the airport at MCO to your resort. By the way, when I say MCO, that is Orlando International Airport. I think it used to be, was it McCoy Air Force Field or Airfield? That's why it's MCO. It hasn't been that for a long time, but they never changed the call letters? MCO? I think that's what it's called. Airport code, that's what it is, MCO. Anyway, now you know when you're booking your flight, instead of having to type out Orlando International on the flight query, just type in MCO and you know where you're going. All right, so going between the airport in Orlando and your Disney resort, if you choose to stay on Walt Disney World property, make sure you sign up for Disney's Magical Express. It's free. Yes, free. So one of the best deals I'm going to talk about on this whole show. And you don't need to pay for transportation to or from the airport to your hotel and back on your checkout day from your resort hotel back to the airport. And one of my favorite things about Magical Express is on the way back, you check in and check your bags at your resort before the Magical Express bus even picks you up. So you say sayonara to your bags at your resort and you won't see them again until they're on the luggage carousel at the airport where you're landing, where you live. It is awesome. So yes, use Disney's Magical Express, sign up for that. Or, and this is another way you can get to Walt Disney World, you can always drive instead of flying. So my family has driven to Walt Disney World on our last few trips, and we have saved ourselves a lot of money, a lot. Like, we're a family of 5. It's pretty pricey now for all 5 of us to fly somewhere. It was a lot easier when we had twins and they were like 1 or 2 and we could put them on our lap and that was it. We only had to pay for 3 tickets, but now we have to pay for 5 and it's super expensive. So especially if you can drive straight through and not have to stay at a hotel somewhere overnight, that saves you a ton of money as well. So think about driving. I know you might have little kids. It might not be feasible. Look, we first drove when our twins were 4 and our oldest was 6. So maybe you can drive. I don't know. But if you do drive, please remember that nowadays, these days in 2019, they do have those resort parking fees. So you will be paying for each night that you leave your car in the resort hotel parking lot. So that might be an added cost and it might be something you want to think about. Okay. Next thing up, park tickets. And maybe, just maybe, you shouldn't get park hoppers. Now, listen, I love my annual pass. I love the benefits that having park hopper tickets provide. I mean, you can go to one park in the morning, leave, go back to your hotel, go to another park in the afternoon, leave, go to a third park at night. It's awesome. But if it's your first trip, or if it's your first vacation at Walt Disney World in a long time, or if you go once every, 4 years, listen, maybe you don't need the park hoppers. If you're a family of 5 like I am, you can save a good amount of money by not getting them. Get base tickets, go to one park per day, spend the whole day there, and then spend your evening there as well, or spend your evening at Disney Springs, or even start your day off, go mini golf and play golf, then spend the afternoon into park close at that park. There's different ways you can do it. And with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opening at the end of the summer, Hollywood Studios, which has been arguably a half-day park, will now be a full-day park again, although I think it remained a full-day park the entire time. But I know a lot of people don't think that. But now it will be a full-day park. So take advantage of that. Maybe don't buy the park hopper tickets. Save yourself money that way. And here's another one about park tickets that I kind of feel pretty strongly about. Listen, I love Disney. I'm here to sell Disney to you, right? This is my job. How I put food on the table for my children every night, even though they're very picky eaters, is I book Disney trips, right? Listen, don't buy the Park Hopper Plus ticket. Don't buy it. What that gives you is Park Hoppers, right? Which the Park Hopper option allows. And then it gives you access to the water parks on every day that you have park tickets. Are you going to go to the water park every day? Listen, I know that I've been hiding the water parks for my kids for years because I don't like them. I don't like to swim. I have to wear earplugs. I've talked about this in the past. It's a whole thing. But are you really going to access the water parks every day? Here's what I suggest you do instead and save yourself the money from the Park Hopper Plus. Man, I forgot the name of it. Just if you're going to go to the water park one day or 2 days, just buy tickets to the water park that day. Problem solved. You save money. Don't buy the water park plus unless you are water park fanatics. Next thing up on the list, dining plans. Here's what you want to do. You want to be strategic. You want to compare costs before you commit to getting a dining plan, or simply don't add one. It's a great way to save money. Listen, the dining plan is a fantastic way to make your Walt Disney World vacation even more magical and convenient. At 180 days out, you make all your dining reservations. Then you don't even have to bring any money into the park. You just use your magic band. Boom. You don't need to get reservations. They're already done. You show up, you eat, you pay your gratuity, and you go. I get it. It's super helpful, but maybe it's not for you. Do you have little kids who are picky eaters? Ding, ding, like I do. If you do, if you have picky eaters and you're going to be bringing peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and yogurts and Lance cheese crackers, it's a plug for Lance, Lance cheese crackers into the park with you for your kids' meals, then the dining plan is a waste of money for you. So just pay attention to how your kids eat, to what they eat, to what you eat. Look at the menus. Decide whether or not the dining plan is for you. If it's not, you can end up saving a good amount of money if you cut it out. Also, I'm not saying it's not a great value, because it can be if you are someone who will eat what's on the menus, who will enjoy everything from each restaurant that you book. It totally can save you money in the long run. But again, picky eaters, kids who don't eat well, maybe don't add it. And what about ordering food from a delivery service and having it shipped to your room or to your resort? That's what we do. My family does this on every single trip. Again, because I have kids that are picky eaters. My son will eat chicken fingers and fries at lots of Disney locations. My girls will not. My girls will eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches at some locations. My son will not. So it's weird because we can almost never find restaurants that have stuff for all three of them. So we ended up just ordering food. All the time we do this every trip, not almost, every single trip. We go with gardengrocer.com, but you could go with Amazon, Garden Grocer. There's a whole bunch of different options now where you pick out your food. They deliver it to your resort. When you check in, you call down to the front desk. Bell Services will bring your food up. Yes, there's a delivery fee to the room now. It's not that expensive. Then you'll have food in the room for breakfast. We get like cereal bars and drinks for the kids, juice boxes. And then you can have breakfast before you leave the room. That really helps. That saves a lot of money. We have cases of water delivered on that first day, so we can all take our water bottles with us when we go to the park. That saves money. So it just makes a lot of sense especially if you have kids, or if you're an adult and you'd like to have, unwind at the end of your park day or night with an adult beverage or two. I know Garden Grocer and some other delivery services will deliver beer or wine to your hotel and then have it brought to your room. Because listen, Disney's prices for alcohol are high. And you will spend an arm and a leg if you were continually buying stuff from the quick service restaurant locations or the stores. You're going to spend so much money. So have it delivered to your room, have it there in your room. It's really, really way more cost effective than buying them at the resort. All right, next up, let's talk more dining stuff. How about the Disney Visa card? If you're a Disney Visa card holder, or what is that, a member? I don't have credit cards, so I don't know. I'm all debit. I don't like having credit. But if you are a member or a holder or whatever you want to call it, with the Disney Visa card, you get 10% off of a lot of different table service restaurants around Walt Disney World. So have a look. If you're a Visa card, why can't I say that? If you're a Disney Visa holder, look at the list and see which restaurants are on it so you can save 10% at your meals. Next up, how about eat at the big restaurants, the expensive restaurants for breakfast and lunch if possible. Skip dinner. Now look, I know you want to have dinner at Be Our Guest with the beast standing there, but the newer menu is more expensive. It's a fixed price menu, and you could save a lot of money by going for breakfast or for lunch. Same location, different food, but same experience pretty much. Okay, you don't get the beast at the end of the meal, but you get everything else. You get the ambiance, you get all that stuff. So it might be worth it. That also is the same for a lot of the buffets and the character meals around property. If you go for breakfast or for lunch, it will be less expensive than if you go to those places for dinner. So put that on your list, write it down, mark it down, whatever you're going to do. That will save you some money. All right, how about this one? Drink free water. I know I say it wrong. Water. How do you say it? You say it. Right. Okay. That's how you say it. I don't. So for the rest of this episode, I'm going to say water, but all Disney counter service restaurants and table service restaurants have free ice water, all of them. And it's tap water. I know it's not Dasani, it's not Perrier, but it's cold and you won't get dehydrated. So remember the Goonies when they break into Fratelli's restaurant and they all order water and Mama Fratelli brings it and it's like brown and murky and she puts it on the table and they're like, what is this? And they're like, is this water? And Mama Fratelli's like, it's wet, ain't it? Drink it. It always cracks me up. Anyway, that's my answer here. It's free water. It's wet, ain't it? Drink it. All right. How about this one? If you're a DVC member, an annual pass holder, or a Florida resident, how about the Tables in Wonderland card? So this is for table service meals throughout Walt Disney World property, and it saves you 20% on the bill, off of the bill, I should say, for these many, almost all, not all, but almost, table service restaurants on property. And it's 20% off everything, including alcohol. So that's a big deal. Now, of course, the card's not free for DVC members and annual pass holders. It's $150. And for a Florida resident, it's $175. But listen, that card will pay for itself in like 3 meals. If you have a family like mine, again, family of 5, that's like 2 meals that pays for itself. So totally worth it. 20% off for the entire year with the Tables in Wonderland card. All right, more along the lines of meals. How about splitting a meal? You can do this at every counter service restaurant on Walt Disney World property. Some of the meals are big. Some of the counter service meals are big. You can split it with someone else. Just ask for an extra plate. Grab yourself an extra plastic fork, or which is becoming popular around Disneyland, a spork, like Forky from Toy Story 4. And he's not Sporky. It's strange, I know, but he is Forky. Anyway, grab yourself an extra fork and a knife and split a meal with someone. Again, save money. It's the cost of one meal for 2 people. Can't beat it. Another thing, how about if you're an adult, order from the kids menu? You can do this at the counter service restaurants as well. So if you look and you see, the galactic chicken and fries for the kid is half the price or 3/4 of the price for the adults, you can order that at the counter service restaurant as an adult. If you're not a big eater, you want to save a couple bucks, do that. It saves you money every time. All right, here we are. This is my last tip, my last way to save money during or before. Well, now we're into the during part. We've been well into the during part for a while. So during your Walt Disney World vacation, how about this one? Buy the souvenirs before you go. I know that sounds completely backwards, but hear me out. Go to Target, go to Walmart. They have Disney t-shirts. They have the Mist fans. They have Disney princess dresses, all at way, way, way less of a price than you would pay in the merchandise locations all over Walt Disney World. Those misting fans you can get for like at Five Below for $5. Buy a bunch of Disney decals, let your kids decorate it. Take that instead of buying one in Walt Disney World. Your kids want a bubble wand? They have those at Target. I've seen them. No, they're not the Buzz Lightyear one, but they're very similar. They're not the Mickey one. They're not the Ariel one, but they're similar. You can decorate them with stickers. Use those in the parks. It's no problem. How about the princess dresses? Your kids, my girls, when they were very little, always wanted the princess dresses. And we ended up spending an arm and a leg on, I think we had like 12 princess dresses. That was insane. And now I look and Target has them. They're not the same exact ones as the park, but Target had the Moana dress. Target had the Merida dress. Get it at Target for 1/3 of the price. Put it in your suitcase. When you get to check in Walt Disney World, open your suitcase, give it to your daughter. Save yourself a ton of money. It really works. Now, whether or not your kid's going to stop asking when you're walking through the parks, that I cannot control. I know as soon as we get to Walt Disney World, as soon as we get to a park, my son Jack starts saying, when can I get this? When can I get my souvenir? And it's until he gets one, you're done, because that's all you're going to hear. And I've told my wife, I told Amy 1,000 times, I'm like, if he says it again, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose it. But listen, we promise our kids 1 or 2 souvenirs per trip, but getting them beforehand really will save you a ton of money. All right. I think that's kind of it. That's all the tips I wrote down, or I didn't write them down. I typed them because it's not 1974. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for listening. And I think the conclusion or the outro of the show is coming up next. And that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ear to There Disney Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope this episode helped. Listen, with all the prices being increased last week, I just wanted to make sure people knew, hey, listen, there are ways to save. There are ways to do this in a less expensive way. And I wanted to make sure you had every advantage to save as much money as possible and to make booking a Walt Disney World vacation as easy as possible for you. So I hope this helped you. If it did, shoot me an email. Let me know. My email is phil@eartotheretravel.com. Let me know if there's anything that you learned in the episode that maybe you didn't know before. Or even if you want to email me and say, hey, Phil, I knew all of that stuff. This is nothing new. Hey, that's fine. I'd still welcome the email. So thank you again so much for listening. You're awesome. Just remember, there will be a new episode of the Ear to There Disney Podcast next week, as well as a new episode of the Walt Disney World Word of the Week. So until next time, thank you again so much for listening. You are awesome. Like I said, have a phenomenal week. Bye-bye.
Ear to there, ear to